Greetings, everyone. Well, we finally did it. We finally got the Transformers Complete Series 25th Anniversary Matrix of Leadership set review. Done. But there's one other thing in my Transformers collection that I know a lot of you have been wanting me to do a video about for a while. And I thought it would be a nice thing to do sort of as a little addendum to the Matrix set review, because of course this is a pretty significant part of the Transformers mythology that sadly is not included in the Complete Series set because, well, quite simply, Shout Factory doesn't have the rights to it. They wanted the rights to it. Lord knows they wanted to release it. But unfortunately, they just couldn't make it happen. Hasbro, this is like the one thing that Hasbro doesn't own. Apparently, Paramount currently owns the rights to this, and they're not about to let it go because they want all the focus to be on their new movies, the live-action ones, and they just want to kind of push, you know, the old movie that we all love to the side. I'm, of course, talking about Transformers, the movie. But I have not one edition, not two editions, but three editions of it. And I thought, just for fun, since, you know, it's not available in any edition currently, but I thought you might be curious to know what the difference is between these three editions and why I have three editions of it. It isn't just to rub it in your face that I've got it 3 times over. No, there actually are Transformers fan collector-y reasons for why I have all three of these. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to do a little comparison between these three very different editions of Transformers the movie on DVD today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. Well, first off, let's just shove those down a little bit. Okay. First off, let's see what exactly these three editions are. First off, we have this one, which is the Rhino edition. Rhino actually put out a couple of editions of it, but of the two, this is the one you want. This is the Special Collector's Edition. I just love the fact that they used the actual original movie poster as the artwork on there. Now, one issue with this particular one is it does have a 5.1 sound mix, some added sound effects in there. Yeah, the original movie was actually in stereo, just 2.0 stereo, and any and all DVD or Blu-ray presentations should at least include that as an option. This one sadly does not. It only has the 5.1 audio. We'll get a little bit more into the specific features in a minute. Anyway, this is the Rhino edition. I wanted this one because of some specific extras. Basically, the reasons I wanted all of these was because they all have different extras. So we'll go into those in a few minutes here. Then we have the 2-disc special edition version, which is quite nice. There you go. Actually has reversible artwork as well. On one side, you got Optimus Prime holding up the Matrix and all the disc contents. Then you can actually flip it around, and you got Hot Rod holding the Matrix with all the contents there. I usually keep it on the Optimus side just because, you know, it's Optimus and he's a badass and I love him. And then put that back in. And it's a clear case, too, so you can actually see the other side of the artwork on the interior of the case, which is quite nice. And then in addition to that, I've actually got a booklet. So, there you go. Pretty nice. If we open it up, we've got actually a little preview of IDW's new at the time anyway, comic book adaptation of the movie. So, pretty cool stuff. And there you can see another look at some of the artwork there. So, pretty good. I guess it's more of a pamphlet than a booklet, but whatever. It's, in short, a very, very nice edition. I actually lucked out, and I managed to snag a bunch of these when they were just going out of print. So I managed to get a few extra bucks in my pocket at the time. Got them just for regular price. They were in a local store for like 20 bucks each, and I think I sold them for 30 or 40, so that was pretty cool. And then we have this one, which actually David Bunch of Numbers sent me a while back. We've got Transformers, the Ultimate Edition. Now, this came out in the UK around the same time that the 20th Anniversary Edition came out here, and it is also a 2-disc edition, and actually comes out of this nice little slipcover here, quite nice. There was also a Blu-ray release in the UK, which used the same cover. The Blu-ray release, sadly, I do not have, and it is long out of print. So then inside, we've got this cover here. Let's see if we can get a good angle on there. And then on the back, and if we open it up, once again, we do have a 2-disc edition. It's quite nice. And I'll go into some of the specifics of these in just a minute here. I just wanted to give you a look at the contents first. So this one we actually do have a proper booklet, nothing on the back. But inside we actually have ads for more of the Transformers DVDs that were available, including the Takara collection, which you can actually see on the shelf right here. I actually do have the Takara collection. That's the 3 Japanese shows which followed on after the original American G1 series. And then we've got a lot of stuff by Chris McFeely, who's a basically UK Transformers super fan. And here they go into the remastering process for this particular edition and give you some comparisons of quality between previous editions and this one, and lots of behind-the-scenes goodies, and just kind of lots of notes. It's a good meaty little booklet, actually, really nice. And there again, we have more Transformers DVDs, which you can check out. These were the ones that used the Rhino releases, basically used the Rhino Masters for their source, which is unfortunate. And there we go. Talk about Scramble City, which was a one-shot, half-hour episode done in Japan to bridge the gap between the end of season 2 of the series and the start of the movie. So pretty cool. What's that? So just a bunch of different. Oh, Transformers the movie on UMD. There you go. You watch it on your PSP. Yeah, that's kind of showing the age. Amazing how fast things change. These particular editions are from what, 2007? 2007. Yeah, no, 2007. And then this one was 2006. Yeah, so this came out a little after the 20th Anniversary Edition. Yeah, so I guess the big question a lot of people have about the various editions is, what are the transfers like? Well, I actually did take some notes about that. Let me just bring them up here, so don't mind if I'm kind of looking past you as I refer to these notes. There we go. Okay. So one thing I should address right off the bat is widescreen. A lot of fans are still a little bit confused about where the Transformers movie stands in terms of being widescreen. Well, let me explain it very simply. The Transformers movie was done in what they call 4x3 open matte, which basically means it was done in 4x3, full frame, and then cropped for theatrical presentation. When this edition first came out, which one of the big deals about it is it includes the 4x3 version and the widescreen version. This is the first time the widescreen version was ever available here in North America, by the way. I saw some fans who, quite frankly, were incredibly ignorant when it came to how widescreen works, claiming that, oh, the widescreen version on this is a fake widescreen version. They lied. That's false advertising. All they did was chop off the top and bottom. Yeah, and you know what? That version you saw in the theaters, that's how they did that there, too. That's how that kind of widescreen works. There's different types of widescreen, some of which is anamorphic, like CinemaScope, the really wide widescreen that has black bars even on your widescreen TV. Yeah, that is done anamorphic in theaters, which basically means if you look at the film frame, it fills the entire frame, but the image appears stretched. And it's actually projected through an anamorphic lens that then squeezes the image back down and fills the screen correctly. The advantage of that is they're using the entire 35mm frame for the resolution of the image and then squeezing it down to create the widescreen image. Now with open matte, it's a little bit different. It's done again in a 4x3 full frame, and occasionally you'll see a film print where it's actually been cropped at the production end, so you'll actually see black bars on the frame. But more often than not, prints will arrive at the theater in full frame. There will be nothing cropped off. And it's actually projected through a special lens that literally has bars in the lens that crop the image at the top and bottom. And the way you're supposed to do it is line the frame up so that it's centered, and then the middle area is the intended viewing area. Well, that's how Transformers the movie was done. It was done in full frame, open matte, widescreen safe, meaning that it could be shown as a 4:3 image, such as for television and whatnot, or ideally with the top and bottom cropped off for widescreen presentation. And that is exactly what you get on this and this. So it is not fake widescreen, it is completely accurate to what it is supposed to be and to what you would have seen in the theater back in 1986. Now, as to the actual transfer quality, it is a bit of a mixed bag. This is one of those movies that, for whatever reason, we just never seem to have gotten an absolutely perfect transfer of, but what can you do? Let's go over the differences here. So the Rhino version, all you have is the 4:3 version. It's just a single disc. I don't think I showed you the disc, actually. Let's take a look here. So we got that. It's not too exciting. And then we have basically a one-sided sheet of chapter listings. I noticed that chapter 11 is swear word with Spike's infamous "shit, what are we gonna do now?" line. Actually gave that its own chapter, which is great. So anyway, we have the 4:3 version here. For the most part, in terms of color depth and whatnot, it's pretty solid. You won't find a pink hot rod in this one. The only real issues with it is the definition isn't as sharp as the later editions, and it's a little bit too dark, so you do miss some of the detail due to the darkness of the image. But in terms of color and whatnot, it's actually a pretty solid transfer. It's not bad at all. Now, the 20th anniversary edition, we have both the 4:3 and the 16:9 widescreen version. And the 4:3 version actually has the most accurate colors of all of the NTSC Region 1 versions that I've seen. It's actually a pretty solid transfer overall. You got nice clean resolution, brightness levels are good, you don't get too much detail washed out and such, it's not too bright, not too dark, it's actually a pretty solid transfer. The 16:9 widescreen version, however, is not as good. You have the infamous pink hot rod. Yeah, he's a lovely shade of orange and pink. The resolution is nice and sharp. The only real kind of issue with it, other than the color issue, is it's a little bit too bright in some scenes. For the most part, the brightness level is pretty good, but as I say, it's kind of a mixed bag. I mean, it's a mixed bag with all of them just transfer to transfer, but it's also a mixed bag within each transfer. Some shots look good, some shots don't look so good. In this case, the ones that really suffer are the scenes where Megatron is being transformed by Unicron, and you see like the grid patterns and such. Sometimes the brightness levels are too high in some of those shots, and as a result, the detail in the grid patterns is blown out. So you can't actually see all the detail. I mean, it's really nice to have it in the widescreen frame to see it as it was shown in the theater, but I mean, come on, why didn't they put more effort into the correct color timing and brightness levels? It can't have been that difficult. But at least the 4:3 version looks good on here. Now, with the Ultimate Edition, we have, again, the 4:3 version and the 16:9 widescreen version. Both of these were new transfers from an actual proper film print, so I think this one was actually taken from an old Video Master, so it's not as clean. But these ones are quite a bit better in terms of transfer quality. The one issue with the Ultimate Edition, obviously, is it is PAL format, which means coming from a 24 frames per second film source, you do have the inevitable 4% speed increase that you get when converting from NTSC or film source to PAL. So it does run about a total of about 5 minutes shorter than the standard American version. So be wary of that, and everything is a slightly higher pitch than what you may be accustomed. But one thing I think is really cool about this is, in terms of picture quality, the widescreen version is the best widescreen version I've ever seen. It actually looks really nice. Colors are, for the most part, correct. You have, I think, a couple instances of the pink hot rod, but it's not as pronounced as it is in the 20th anniversary edition. Detail levels are definitely better than the 20th anniversary edition, and brightness levels are definitely better. In particular, once again, the Unicron scene. You really see the detail in the grid patterning on Galvatron and everybody a lot better in this version than you do in the 20th anniversary version. The only thing, the only drawback to me personally is that it's got that speed up issue that you can't avoid when converting, from film or NTSC to PAL format. It's just an inherent part of the process. The other thing that's notable is on this version, the widescreen version is the US uncut theatrical version, whereas the 4:3 version is actually the slightly different UK theatrical version. Now, the UK theatrical version didn't start quite the same way as the American version. The American version just starts with, the pre-title sequence of Unicron destroying the planet, and then it goes into the opening titles, and then you have the theme song rocking away, and then you have the cast list, the primary cast of the movie listed out against a nice Starfield background, and then it goes into the first scene. In the UK version, it starts a little bit differently. It starts with the same opening scene, and then you get the Transformers logo, and the theme song starts up. But then the theme song kind of fades down into the background, and you have a scrolling Star Wars-style, backstory sequence narrated by Victor Caroli, who is the main narrator for the show. And so that's pretty cool, but my one issue with it, it's nice to hear some more Victor Caroli narration, obviously, because he was a freaking awesome narrator. But my one main issue with it is it puts the theme song in the background, so you don't get to enjoy it with all of its oomph. The American version is definitely the superior, more impactful intro in that respect, I think. The other thing is the UK version actually censors Spike's infamous shit line, so it's not even in the movie. And at the end, they have a little addendum that says, "Don't worry, Prime's not dead." Really? I'm sorry, but UK viewers back in 1986, were you such pussies that you needed that reassurance? You couldn't just take it like little 8-year-old men? Yeah, well, your American friends weren't so lucky. They left the theater in shambles after everything. So, yeah. Well, I see we're actually running kind of long, so I think we're going to have to split this into 2 parts. Sorry, guys, but hey, what the hell? It's more Transformers stuff for you, right? So that's basically the difference in terms of the transfer quality and the packaging of all 3. Next time, we'll take a look at the extras. There's quite a lot of extras, and that's why I'm saying we'll just go to a part 2, because there's a lot. It's enough to make an episode of itself, just the amount of extras are on here. So we'll see you next time for part 2 of my overview of these 3 awesome editions of Transformers the Movie. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.